Well, let's welcome our guest to the program. Brian Shirley, is that you, brother?
Yeah, that's me.
Welcome to In the Dirt. Thank you for joining us here on this Monday evening. You guys are on your en route to wrapping up this championship. But talk to us first about the Hell Tour and what's it like to win such an event, 30 races in 30 days. What's that like to be the champion of such a thing?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's it's pretty exciting. There's been a lot of good guys do it over the years, so it's long and grueling, and took 20 straight races of getting her done, putting in some solid finishes, and a couple wins here and there. So all in all, it's just good to have our name up there on the board of with all the guys that have done it in the past.
Now, is the UMP? That's pretty much what you guys race all the time, whether it be with the Hell Tour or with the national points. Is there any desire to expand out and do anything outside of the general UMP area?
No, as of right now, we ran the world or the Woo Tour there back in like '09, I think. Recollect on my top of my head, I don't really know for sure what year it was, but it's just so tough, as far as money. It's more money driven, as far as UMP, we kind of do it all based on our own and not having a real, corporate sponsor or somebody behind us with a little bit of money, to help keep the expenses down. It's just way too much for a guy like me to take on. Now,
before we get to talking about the national touring series for the UMP, or the national tour as they call it, where on earth did the squirrel come from?
That came from actually Shannon Babby. Me and him were pretty good buddies, and we used to hang out a lot more back in the day than we do now. Obviously, the older we get, the more time with marriage and kids and things like that, we don't really get together as much as we used to, but he was big on, all our friends and the guys we hung around, they all had nicknames, and you see me ride a motorcycle, and we were at this racetrack one time just riding, me and him and Jay Bird, and he just said I flew through the air like a squirrel, and it's just something that stuck with me ever since for some reason.
Well, now, the show originates from Alabama, and I'm not a native of Alabama, but I live here, and I sound like I do. But the squirrel is a term of endearment down here, so to speak. And my father-in-law hated me because I'm a Yankee. When I was trying to marry his daughter, he hated me. And I knew I'd made it into the family when he said, "Webb, you may be a damn squirrel, but I guess you're my squirrel." And I was like, hell, that's like saying I love you, I guess. So that's why I had to ask how you got called a squirrel, because I've never heard the term until I got here, and then, of course, your nickname. So you guys are not officially crowned the champion yet in the UP National Tour, right?
Yeah, we're definitely not officially, but it's definitely done, as far as the points. We were, we had to follow up and really win out this weekend to make it to where we'd have to go into Eldora, and he ended up, I think, having some bad luck. I really don't know what went on Friday there, but they said he got involved in a wreck or something, vice versa. I don't know for sure, but it was good enough to where it locked it up for us to where we can go into Eldora with no worries.
Now, is this your first UMP late model points championship?
Yeah, we normally don't. We don't race enough to, the last 3 or 4 years, we've only raced about 45 nights a year, just because of, trying to make it feasible, because we do this for a living, and, it just has never really been in our cards to go more than 45, 50 nights, and this is the first year in like 3 or 4 years that we finally put in a year that had more than that, and, I think it was due to just our consistency on everything and the way things played out. We just kept running good. Every racetrack we've been to, we were always really in the top 5, and, we were really there for a long time, even in the top 3, just every race, either winning or running in the top 3 or or second, so it just kind of played out to where here at the end it was just one of them deals where we've been leading it since June, so we just figured, I guess, we knew coming down to about 3 weeks ago, we just kind of had to finish it out since we led the whole thing from June on.
Well, I'm looking at the points right now, and the guys that you're racing against, and you say you guys don't race enough, or not in the cards for you to, but you beat back Weaver, you beat back Fager, Unzinger, Rusty Schlenk, Shannon Babb, big buddy yours, you said Randy Corte. I mean, Brandon Thurbly's on the list, Shepard. I mean, you guys are beating, the best that's out there. Among those guys, and obviously, you're the champion this year. Where does Brian Shirley put himself among some of those guys?
Oh, I don't really know. It's hard to, I think, rank somebody in their own opinion. I think that, everybody in the Midwest, you got Fager and you got Babb and you got Herb, and they've all done their own aspect of what they do in the sport. And I think it's, there's definitely a talented field here in the Midwest with, even got Will Pierce coming up here in the Midwest now. And, so for the guys that are in the Midwest and we race each other all the time, I think we all have a good visual of respect for what we all do in the sport, and just proud to be a part of it.
Now, we've had Fager on here a couple weeks ago, and Fager was...
a riot.
Well, yeah, he was a riot one, but he kind of painted a picture that there might be some ill will with drivers when they think of the crown jewels of our sport. What do you think about one entity trying to kind of like own the rights to all the crown jewels?
I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think it's bad in the aspect of one. Whether it be Lucas Oil or UMP or Water Bylaws. Being I personally liked it better when, Soul People, Cedar Lake used to be its own deal. The Show Me used to be its own deal. My opinion is they, when they get in there, it seems like they just change the game plan, and it's all in the outlook of, for the person behind the name that's behind the race, and they're, in my opinion, they're taken away from the racer. And, that's hard to do right now because everything keeps getting more expensive and the payouts just keep getting less and less through the field.
And I'll be honest with you. I work with the Neesmith Series as their media director, so I talk to guys from all over the country that race our Neesmith Weekly Series. And one of the things that's coming up, we got a track. Malden, Missouri is one of our racetracks, and we get guys coming in like Tate Davenport and Randy Witt, and but anyway, these guys have raced UMP crate and they also raced the Neesmith crate, and I hear bad things about UMP all the time, especially when it comes to tech. What is your opinion on how they handle tech issues in the UMP sanctioning body and at the races?
Oh, I think most of the time, obviously ours isn't as horrible as far as the rules, because obviously the cubic inch is all unlimited, and they've been pretty stiff on a lot of things lately. In my aspect, even Lucas Oil, this weekend, they're more teching than they ever have, really. Even UMP, like at the World, they were really serious in tech, and it seems to me that the tech isn't as lenient as it used to be right now for us. I would say it's pretty fair. Like I said, they're checking left and right around us. The only thing I don't know is just, I know the tire thing has kind of been an issue, but, policing that is all on its own, and I feel like right now even UMP, World of Outlaw, and Lucas seem to do what they got to do to, try and figure out what they got to do to tire police everything.
Would you say that things have been better as far as the series tech and cars here recently, like in the last 2-3 weeks, versus maybe what it was 2 or 3 months ago?
Yeah, just because, you see it more. When you go to the World, obviously Knoxville, you're around where they're more make sure your cars are completely, the same, so that way, there's no disadvantage or advantage. I don't feel like we have a big issue around here, I mean, even on the Hell Tour, we tried to make sure that they checked a few things to make sure everybody's car, that seemed like it made a disadvantage or an advantage, and that's what they worried about, and the other stuff we just didn't, make a big issue about it.
I talked to somebody today, and I really don't know if I should say his name or not, so I'm not going to, but I talked to somebody today about they are the Lucas Oil Series is thinking about changing the size of the nose. Or what do you think about making these cars more competitive? Do you think we need to mess with the body, or can we do something with tires to make the cars more competitive?
I don't really know. I'm definitely not an engineer, so when it comes to making them more competitive, I feel like our cars are getting more aerodynamic than what they would be. So, I know last year, or maybe it was this year, I was at Wheatland. Lucas Oil was messing with the spoilers. They were testing there to see if it made any advantage or disadvantage to help, try and get where it's a little racier. So I do know, Lucas Oil is trying to look at things to make things a little racier, but I don't know as an aspect of, what would change the aero to make the cars where they race just normal, I guess, Well,
all right, Brian. Well, I certainly appreciate you guys coming on, taking time away from your family tonight. I know you guys take enough time away running your race on the weekend, so appreciate that. Before we let you get out of here...
one more question.
Oh, one more question. Go ahead.
I've given this a lot of thought, Webb, and we've had this discussion numerous times about what can somebody do, what can a sanctioning body do, the tracks, the teams, whatever. And it seems like every time that we get into the conversation of what can we do to make the cars more competitive, it's always a tire issue. At least everybody, it seems like, can agree that tires are probably your biggest advantage or disadvantage. Because you can kind of control the track surfaces for the horsepower. And I know we all talked about maybe like one compound of tire. And a lot of guys don't like, the one compound tire, but I think that would make it more economical if we just had a one compound rule. And then I thought more about it, and everybody wants a hard tire maybe if you're going to do that. And then you can prep that hard tire or do whatever, and then you got guys, doing the tire prep thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would you think about if the one tire rule was like an LM20 or a 1300, and that's the only tire you could run?
I'm all for it. Honestly, I race. That's what I do now. I don't go to any open races. Just because it's cost so much more money to have all the tires. We race in our budget of the tires we run all the time, which is 20, 30, 40. Occasionally, we got some 10s because they'll do, speed weeks is 10, 20, 30, 40. Some loose shows are. So we don't generate really out of 10, 20, 30, 40. I do love the tire rule. I'm all for Mars races, they're 40s. And then when they come here, they make it even better because you can run 20s on the front and 40s on the rear. And then if you got to go late, you can put 40s on the front. So, I'm all for it. I figure if they can police it, to keep the tire prep out of it, that's even better. And then, it stabilizes the competition. People don't want the tire rule because then they got to work on their car harder to figure out how to race that tire, and that's the problem is you got everybody that wants the open tires because open tires, drives your car differently, and it gives the guys that run open tires all the time an advantage where you bring them into an open tire or a tire roll race, and the cream always rises to the top. It just sometimes takes them a little longer, and they don't like that. They want to be at the top all the time,
Right.
So.
And see, I thought, and the reason why I say that, and I like the one tire rule, but I think that if the tire was, say, a softer tire, or maybe a one that's middle of the road, you're not likely to probably use some tire prep on something that's already soft. You're going to be forced to, set the car up and drive differently to conserve those tires throughout a race. That was my philosophy.
And a little birdie I had the same conversation with somebody today, and the guy, and I wish I could tell you about. I won't tell you, but the guy said that the softer tire will want to be in the brown of the racetrack, and either top or the bottom, and won't race in the slick, and it'll force guys to run the two grooves, or and in between.
Yeah, I think the tire rule is a good thing. Like I said, when we're more apt to go to a Lucas Oil race when it's a tire rule, we're more to go to a War of Outlaw race when it's a tire rule because it stays within our budget. I love going to them when they're just 40 only because it takes just that much out of it. It's hard enough to set your car up, do all the things you got to do to worry about winning the race, let alone throw in freaking 20 more tires into the mix. So I'm all for a tire rule.
And for people that aren't aware, the amount of tires that are out there, it's ungodly because you've got not only different manufacturers like American Racer and Hoosier. American Racer, I think, has 15 or 20 different compounds. Hoosier has compounds called economies that are, 1150s, 1200, 1250s, and so on. 1425s, 1325s, all the way up to 1600. So it's really just it's such a tire game now.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. Most tracks, that's the thing. Most tracks even come to a tire that they like the most, and that's most of the time what you run on. Even like when you go over to the Dirt Track World Championship, it'll have a preferred tire that most people will run in the race. Anyway, so it's like, why not just make that tire the tire choice, and just leave it, if that's the case. But I don't know, I don't know what's going to make the sport better or worse. I hope that it's going to get better. I know I don't want to carry. I know when we ran with the World of Outlaws there on an open tire rule, we were carrying like 90 tires and wheels with us all the time, and now we went back home with just the 20, 30, 40. We still carry. A numerous amount of tires with us, but it's easier because it's all the same tires. We're not having 30 different ones with us all the time.
Well, now I know who to come and see for tires with if I ever get to go to Fairbury.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah,
well, Brian,
Fairbury's easy.
Well, Brian, I certainly appreciate you taking time, like I said earlier, coming on the show with us. What's your plans for next year? Before you get out of here, thank your sponsors and also the crew members that help you win this championship.
I don't know what next year holds for us. Like I said, we're just taking it one step at a time. We'll revise everything, see how the team did on funding and operating, and revamp everything in the winter. And as far as helping me, you got to thank Aaron Foggess. He helped put the good year together, and my buddy Albie, and then we had a guy named Matt come on during the Summer Nationals. So if it wasn't for them three, we definitely wouldn't have had the year that we had. And if it wasn't for Jayco Construction, Kaiser Manufacturing, Pierce Race Cars, All Star Performance, Skateland South, Tim's Auto Body, and all our product people, we'd probably be sitting on the couch. So we got to definitely thank them for helping us out.
Well, the 2012 Hell Tour champion, soon to be crowned the 2012 UMP National Late Mile champion. Congratulations, everybody! Go to brianshirley.com and you can learn all about the Squirrel. But we'll call on you again, maybe preseason next year. Talk about what's in 2013.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
That's the Squirrel. Squirrel's out.